Hi, and welcome back to Woman's Heart Podcast. We're a wellness and lifestyle podcast, and I'm so excited you're joining me for another empowering message because on the show today, we will be focusing on health, healing, and wellness. And as a mindset coach, I specialize in helping women find and claim their personal power. My organization provides coaching, educational products, training, mentoring, empowerment workshops, and networking events for women all over the world. And today, I'm very excited and honored and privileged to have on the show with us Mr. Marcus Walther. Now, his passion is encouraging and teaching others to feel and understand their empowerment in terms of health, healing, and wellness. And Marcus is a licensed massage therapist as well as an energy worker in CST, and he'll explain to you later what that stands for. And Marcus is located in Reston, Virginia at Pathways to Health. Is that correct, Marcus?
Pathways to Health, yes.
Pathways to Health, yes. So whether you're seeking to release tension and dis-ease, physical injury, emotional harmony, or deeper connection to your inner self, Marcus invites you to join him in transformational experience. He believes that together you will embark on a journey to self-discovery and reconnecting your renewal. And so think of me as your chief encouragement officer, bringing you firsthand expertise and knowledge from a transformational therapist who is dedicated and compassionate about impacting the world around him. Marcus, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And we're excited to have you join us and talk to us a little bit about your experience and how you kind of got into this space, and then also giving us some wisdom of how we can take better care of ourselves in terms of our personal health and our well-being. So let's just jump right on in. I would love for you to share who you are from your heart and what makes you get up in the morning.
Yeah, so super. I guess the main thing is that I've always had this curiosity and the need to explore. Mm-hmm. And that's driven me to learn about myself and the world around me. It's reminding me at the moment of a funny story of when I was very little. Once I was able to, walk, and my parents always had trouble keeping me around because I always wanted to go. It's always like going somewhere, right? Right. And they would lose me in places where there were large crowds, or the mall, or if we went somewhere downtown to a museum or something.
Right.
And they actually at one point got this harness and leash thing for me because they got tired of having to look for me, or chase me down, really is what it was. And so there was always this pull of, I've got to explore something, and it was kind of funny seeing that too, because I don't know, I haven't seen that very much used on children, and I don't know if it was more of a European thing. My parents are originally from Germany, but it just makes me laugh, and it reminds me of that story.
Right. Well, I would love for you to kind of give us a little bit about your journey. And I know that, I don't know if you started out in health and wellness, or you kind of started to migrate toward health and wellness as you, decided on different things in life. So why don't you help us understand and how you became the therapist you are today? Like, what was that journey like? What steps did you have to go through?
So I was, well, I feel like I've had an interesting journey, and I discovered that, this curiosity I need to explore led me to explore understanding why we're here. And it came up for me through church. I was brought up Lutheran, and in confirmation, then was learning things through the Bible, and
I love it.
And saw teachings that seemed to be a little bit at odds of, teaching that that we're love and that we're sharing with one another and we care for our neighbor. and yet then there's other stories about, smiting
Mhm.
and other things like that. Um, and it confused me a little bit. And that allowed me to look then at um, other religions as I got older
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and study those. And as I was researching those other religions, of course, part of that, some of those religions is reincarnation.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and I began to study that, and I stumbled upon the work of Dr. Ian Stevenson.
Okay.
And so I would say he was a big influence on me because he um, had volumes of studies, and
Mhm.
those helped to convince my logical mind that we are these spiritual beings and we return after physical death.
Right.
He was a professor at the University of Virginia School of Medicine for 50 years and a psychiatrist and
Mhm.
chair of the department for 10 of those years. And um, and this really led me to directly begin looking at us and others as energetic beings, and really influenced um, my movement into studying holistic health
Mhm.
and and understanding our place in this world.
Right.
Um, I graduated from the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg,
Mhm.
and my degree was in international relations with a minor in German, which
Okay.
I always thought was a bit of a cheating because my family is German and my parents came over about 3 months before I was born.
Right. Right.
And but I felt confused by the culture around me.
Mhm. Mhm.
We're taught to love one another, and yet all around us are people taking advantage of one another.
That's a good
Um,
point. Mhm. Yeah.
whether it be through corporations and governments with their tactics and lobbying, um, or or through individuals and other family dynamics, stealing, lying, cheating. And so after college, then I didn't really feel drawn to pursue my career, my degree, really.
Right. Right.
Um, I chose a different path and one that led me to this career.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
decided to explore. I moved out west
Mhm.
where my younger sister was in college at UC Santa Barbara.
Mhm.
And first, I worked as the assistant manager of a car rental place. Eventually came back to Virginia and did restaurant jobs. I moved up to Massachusetts, got into computer sales and computer work.
Mhm.
And then I headed out to Montana and Glacier National Park for a summer job,
Mhm.
which turned into living there for 7 years.
Wow. So did you I mean you enjoyed it that much you stayed 7 years? Were you
Yeah,
outside?
the plan initially was just to get away from the computer job in Massachusetts for a little
Right.
while,
Right.
and then
Pivot.
come back at the end of the summer.
Right.
And it was just such an intriguing place to me. I loved it,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so I decided to stay.
Awesome.
Um, and I had different jobs there then, including at a ski resort. I had
Mhm.
I had to work for the Park Service for 5 years, and I worked as a recreational counselor at a school for troubled teens.
Okay. That's impactful.
Um,
We've been able to impact the teens. So you said
yeah,
you stayed there for 5 years?
and I was there for 7 years.
For 7 years, okay. And then you were also working with teens. What was the time frame with that? Was that this within that 7 years as well?
That was toward the end of my time there. That was about
Okay.
2.5 years.
Okay, got you, got you. Mhm.
Yeah.
So you have been on a
And
journey. I mean, that's a heck of a journey. And what I'm hearing though is that you pivot. You knew how to pivot and you were in search of. So as you were in search of, you were pivoting and trying these different careers or movements. So what led you back here was what? What led you back to
well,
Virginia?
well, I noticed that I was really enjoying, being immersed in nature and learning new
Mhm.
things, building my confidence.
Mhm.
and still continuing my studies and interest in holistic health.
Mhm.
So, being out west like that allowed me to connect with native cultures,
Right.
allowed me to learn about herbalism and the world around me,
Right.
and mainly because much of the work I did for the Park Service, we would often be miles and miles away from the nearest road.
Mhm.
And so if you were going to, help someone in some way, you would have to learn how um, to apply different um, methods to help someone.
Right.
Um, and I did notice that, there was this pull to look at massage schools,
Mhm.
and I began to search for those out west too. Um,
Right.
and none of those felt quite right. And I found the School of Heart Awakening in Arizona.
Mhm. Was
And
it in Sedona,
this
Arizona?
it was right near there. Yes.
Okay, because I know Sedona is known for, kind of the mindfulness of wellness, and a lot of people go there for enlightenment. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. And it was held at a resort a little bit right outside of town there. Yes.
Okay, okay.
And um, and this school helped to awaken my feelings beyond the five senses much more deeply. It
Mhm.
taught me how to read and clear the auric field. This
Mhm.
was an energy healing school.
Okay.
And it felt like I was drawn to that more than, initially these massage schools that I was looking at. And and then I had a relationship breakup, and I moved back to Virginia.
Okay.
Um, and I found a job at a flower essence company.
Mhm.
And that company is called Paralandra. And the founder of this company was another big influence.
Mhm.
Her name is Michelle Small Wright.
Okay.
And, as I returned to the DC area where I grew up,
Mhm.
after these 10 years out west, emerged in some of these teachings and new ways of thinking, I was a bit in shock and didn't know what to do myself coming back into, I don't know, the whole Northern Virginia.
Right, because this
um,
is the culture is completely different.
Area, yeah, and the
Right.
different
It's fast
culture
paced,
and
always, yeah.
corporate landscape and
Mhm.
government, yeah.
Mhm.
And so I was fortunate to find this job opening at the flower essence company, and it allowed me to move a bit out of the suburbs and continue my learning
Mhm.
and diving into this world of flower essences and nature intelligence.
Mhm.
Um, Her teachings took me further into what I had already picked up from the Native American cultures,
Mhm.
that the divine is in everything, and
Mhm.
that we must honor and work together with this intelligence to produce results that are balanced and without unintended side effects.
Mhm.
So, flower essences are the energetic patterns from flowers, trees, and other plants.
Mhm.
And each of us is an electrical system. Our
Mhm.
human electrical system are these lines of communication, like the meridians from Eastern medicine, like acupuncture.
Right. Mhm.
And and flower essences are nature's response to imbalances. We are part of nature, part of this planet and everything around us. And whenever we go out of balance, then nature creates that which restores balance,
Mhm. Mhm.
because nature naturally provides balance.
Wow, that's
And
profound.
flower essences, flower essences balance, stabilize, and repair our human electrical system. The
I
body
love
always needs to repair the electrical system before the physical can heal.
Mhm.
And so while I was at this job at the flower essence company, I became proficient at testing and using flower essences.
Mhm.
And the various tools that are taught by Michelle Wright were a big part in shaping me. And I thank her.
That's awesome. So you had some
Um,
mentors along the
During the
way.
3 years, sorry.
I said you had some mentors along the way, and people that were kind of put on your path to help you to where you are now, which is really awesome.
Right.
And you being aware of that, because sometimes we could be put on a path we're not aware. We just are in it. We're not really trying to figure out why, you're just there. So
Right.
with that, when did CST come into the world that you're in now? When did you start to learn about that? And tell us a little bit.
So towards the end of the 3 years at Paralandra, then I began to research massage schools again, and there was felt a pull to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I found the Casey Riley School of Massage Therapy in Virginia Beach.
Okay, yeah.
And so I decided to move down there, leave my job,
Mm-hmm.
and decided it just felt like it was time. And so I took that leap.
Okay.
And I graduated there in November of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my career began, really.
I love it. So your
And
career
about
began there, Marcus, but then you came back here and you opened up a practice. So there was some movement at Virginia Beach once you graduated. Did you stay there for a little while, or did you come directly back here and just open up your practice?
I stayed in Virginia Beach for a good 16 years. Then I opened up my practice there.
Okay. So you had a practice there. I love that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And once I opened a practice, and about 2 years later, I began to study craniosacral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I was introduced to in massage school. I had a very enthusiastic anatomy professor who was involved in craniosacral therapy, and he would tell us stories, and
Mm-hmm.
and so it was something that, and we also had a mini class on craniosacral therapy as part of the different therapies that we're introduced to in massage school. And so I felt a pull to that. And so about 2 years after being in business, then I began to study that intensely.
Mm-hmm.
And went into a 2-year program for that. And craniosacral therapy involves listening to the movement of the cerebral spinal fluid, and that's the fluid that bathes your spinal cord and brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the fluid has a motion that is tidal in nature, and so it comes up the spine, fills the cranium, and then recedes again.
Mm-hmm.
And so that creates a change in hydraulic pressure, and that change in hydraulic pressure actually is moving the bones. And so we listen then on various parts of the head, on various parts of the body, on the ankles, underneath the sacrum, which is part of the rear of the hip bone, the bottom of the spine.
Right.
And listen to how that's expressing itself. Is there movement at all? Is there a strong pulse? Is there a weak pulse? Is there some sort of strange torsion pattern happening?
Mm-hmm.
And then work with very gentle touch to help the body release that strain pattern, and restore flow, so
Mm-hmm.
that then things open up. They feel more harmonic. There
Mm-hmm.
is less tissue density
Right.
and tension, and it also opens up not only the flow of the cerebral spinal fluid, but really throughout the whole body, where this tension is being shown. It
Mm-hmm.
also opens up the flow of blood. It opens up the flow of the lymphatic fluids, and so it has a health change that is beneficial in many ways. And because of that, it's also beneficial for many different diseases and issues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some of those things are neurological issues,
Mm-hmm.
things like concussions,
Right.
traumatic brain injuries,
Mhm.
any kinds of issues from falls, car accidents, birth issues,
Mhm.
um, things like colic,
Right.
learning disabilities, emotional difficulties,
Mhm.
TMJ,
Wow.
uh,
All falls in
chronic,
those categories. Yeah.
chronic
That's,
fatigue,
mhm.
infant and childhood disorders, um, PTSD, um, headaches and migraines,
Mhm.
autism, scoliosis,
Mhm.
other kinds of chronic neck and back pain. So it's really can help with a lot of different things
Mhm.
and issues because of its deep connection to the nervous system and allowing the body to realign itself.
Wow. So do you have like any success stories of one of your clients that you've had to work with? Um, and could you give us an idea of what that would look like on the other side? They come to you for help and you were able to help them. What's a good story?
Sure,
I'm sure you have
sure.
many, but you share maybe one.
I I'm thinking of a woman.
Mhm.
She came to me. Well, she called me to ask questions about craniosacral therapy,
Mhm.
and she had intense migraines. She
Mhm.
had migraines so bad she couldn't leave the house. She had a husband and a young son,
Mhm.
um, and was basically housebound. Um, I'm so happy with the way the life of this woman changed. She had already been under treatment with doctors for 8 years,
Mhm.
and none of the medications were helping. Nothing that they were assisting her with seemed to be making any changes.
Right.
Um, and so she began coming in for appointments. Um, After about 3 weeks, she noticed her migraines receding. And after 6 months, she had eliminated all the medications,
Wow.
and still then occasionally used Tylenol
Mhm.
and some peppermint oil. She'd find if she started to notice some sort of a headache starting, that she put some
Right.
peppermint oil up here and it would help to
Mhm.
change
Mhm.
what was happening. Um, she began to take an active role in her son's elementary school and was
Mhm.
able to be a homeroom mother.
Wow.
Um,
So she went from being in chronic pain to
she was so
now
happy to,
thriving. Yes.
yeah, yeah. She was happy to
That-
share that she had been able to go with her son on a trip to Busch Gardens and to
oh,
do this
wow.
amusement park with him.
That's so good.
And so this whole thing was a slow and dedicated process where we initially did 2 to 3 appointments a week, and
Mhm.
that gradually went to once a week,
Mhm.
and then later on once a month. And success. I mean,
Yeah.
um, to find someone that was not getting help through her conventional means,
Right.
um, and seeing her life turn around in that way was really magical. And so that's a dramatic example, but there
A
are other
really good
things like that.
example though,
And
Marcus. That was a great example.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
inspirational. Yeah. I love that. So now tell us what piece of advice could you give to someone listening to the podcast who may need your services? What is some of the steps they can take to get in touch with you? You have a website,
So
email.
yeah, so my website is pathways2health.net, and
Mm-hmm.
that's pathways with the number 2 health.net. And You can find my email information on there. It's marcus@pathwaystohealth.net, as well as my phone number. And I don't know if I have one piece of advice. I have a couple pieces of advice. So, do not wait until you're in a state of despair, right?
Okay.
Ask for help, even if it is talking with a friend or a relative, but at least getting out and speaking about what's happening to you. And then looking for help, right? And also actual movement is key. If it's something that's causing you pain and you're just sitting on the couch all day, then you're creating more stiffness in the body. And it's important to actually move things, because movement is life. Movement moves the fluids in the body. Walking, keeping the body moving no matter the injury, of course, being careful.
Right.
And when you can dance, right? Dancing creates that joy of movement and that spontaneous movement, really, that allows the body to express itself. I find that a lot of people do not understand the power of body work, and the main purpose really is to reduce and release tension and restore natural flow.
Right.
And the body has wisdom. It's important to slow down and listen.
Right. Agreed. I love that. I love that you mentioned dancing,
And
that keeping your body and it's fun.
where I was going was, that people who have, especially those of us that have some kind of chronic condition, chronic pain,
Right.
And this can be in the physical body, it can be something in life, relationship life. These are all tied into your relationship with yourself.
Right.
And so it's important to listen to when the body or disease or other conditions in our life that make us feel uncomfortable, what's that showing us?
That's good.
And I find that these kind of things come up in the body work because as things are straightened out, and there's better flow in the body, and whether that means someone who has an ankle issue or a knee issue or a hip issue, that many times unresolved emotions may come up, other belief systems, things that you maybe believe about yourself, or have learned from others around you.
Right.
Those things start to come into your awareness as the system comes into alignment.
Wow.
And it allows you to change your mindset and release those kind of tensions that are being held in the body. And it allows for greater expressions of joy and what it is that you really want.
I love that. Yeah, that's so good. So with that said, Marcus, you have a lot of offerings that you can be able to help folks with. And so again, I want to mention that Marcus is located in Reston, Virginia. You can find him on his website, and also he gave the email, and reach out to him if you need some help. Or do you do consultations too, Marcus?
Yes, exactly. So I'm happy to do initial phone consultations.
Okay.
And discuss their situation, and of course, then when they come in, we can see what might work best.
Awesome. I love it. So you're a successful therapist, and so what's next for Marcus? What is your next What are you planning to study next? Or what are you planning to do next with your business? Or are you writing a book? I mean, what are you doing next?
The book has always been on my mind, and I have a
I
few
can hear
pieces
that.
where I've started things, but it's never
Right.
quite really gotten the choo-choo train going on that. And
Right.
um, but I do feel like that's coming.
Mhm.
Um, and moving into some kind of additional teaching, I think,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
to share my knowledge and specifically to help other therapists and um, help other people.
I love that. That's so good. And Marcus, it has been such a pleasure having you on the show today. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share your wisdom and your expertise with us. And you are truly impacting the world around you. And people need your services. So I pray that we have a lot of listeners to reach out to you to get some consultation, and you can talk them through what that service could look like for them.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. And I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you and everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And as we wrap up, I want to say it to the listening audience. If you've enjoyed our time together, please like, subscribe, and tell a friend. We are trying to build our podcast YouTube channel. So we want as many likes and subscribes out there as we could possibly get. And I have some empowerment information for you. So if you want to take a deeper dive and get a one-on-one coaching session or join a group coaching session, VOE offers the Beyond the Workshop ICE coaching and consulting services if you want to shift your mindset and receive a transformation. For more information, you can email me at voemetoday, or you can go up on the website, voicesoфencouragement.com. And like I always say at the end of every podcast, until we meet again, Ephesians 4:1, walk worthy of the call for which you were called.